Welcome, sleepy traveler. You've arrived at a quiet space made just for you. My name is Valarie, and I am here to guide you gently into rest, to help ease your mind, soften your body, and drift you toward a peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. Whether your day was long or your thoughts feel a little too loud tonight, let this be your permission to slow down, to breathe, and to simply be. There's nothing more to do now. Just allow my voice to be your guide as we begin this gentle journey toward deep, nourishing rest. If you're new here, subscribe for sleep content like this, and like this video if you find it enjoyable. Let's begin. Take a slow, gentle breath in, and let it drift out, soft and easy, as though the air itself is carrying away your day. Feel the rhythm of your breath, simple and calm, guiding you into stillness. Inhale and notice the coolness of the air as it enters. Exhale and feel warmth leaving your body, taking tension with it. There is nothing you need to do right now. No effort, no plans, no responsibilities. Only this quiet moment, a sanctuary for rest. Notice how your body feels supported. The surface beneath you is strong and steady. You are fully held, safe to release everything you've been carrying. With each breath, allow yourself to sink just a little deeper, as though the bed or the floor beneath you is cradling you with care. Feel your spine lengthening and softening into comfort. Bring your attention to your face. Notice your forehead and let it smooth out completely. Your eyebrows soften and fall into ease. The tiny muscles around your eyes release. Your cheeks grow heavy, your lips gently part. Your jaw relaxes, unhooking from the day's tension. Even your tongue rests peacefully, and your entire face feels serene. Take a slow breath and move your awareness to your neck and shoulders. They may have carried so much today. Let them soften, sink, and surrender to the pull of gravity. Your shoulders drop naturally, melting into the surface beneath you. A warm heaviness spreads through your upper arms, elbows, and forearms. Your hands are limp, resting without effort. Even your fingers are at peace, free of the day's energy. Notice your breathing again. Slow, steady, calm. With every inhale, imagine drawing in soft golden light. And with every exhale, letting go of anything you no longer need. Each breath carries you further into deep relaxation. Bring this gentle attention to your chest. Feel it rise and fall in its own rhythm. Your heartbeat is steady, soothing, a quiet lullaby from within. Every beat, every breath, a signal to your body. It is safe to rest. Now let the wave of calm reach your stomach. Your belly softens, free of any tightness. With every exhale, it releases even more tension. Your back follows, your spine sinking fully into support. From the top of your shoulders down to your lower back, everything is relaxed. The relaxation continues into your hips. They are heavy, grounded, and at ease. Your thighs, which have carried you all day, are now soft and weightless. Your knees and calves follow, unwinding with each breath. Even your ankles and feet let go, your toes gently spreading. Your whole body is now resting in perfect harmony. Imagine a soft golden light appearing just above your head. It shimmers like a warm sunset, comforting and gentle. Slowly it begins to drift down, touching the crown of your head. And the moment it touches, warmth and calm spread through you. Every place the light passes becomes soft, open, and free. It moves over your forehead and eyes, filling them with peace. Over your cheeks, your lips, your jaw. Sliding down into your neck and shoulders, clearing away the last bits of tension. Your arms glow as the light travels to your hands and fingertips. Everything it touches becomes tranquil and still. The light reaches your chest now. It fills your heart with gentle warmth. A comforting glow spreads through your ribs, lungs, and belly. You are safe, supported, and completely at ease. The golden glow drifts to your hips and thighs, down to your knees and calves, over your ankles and into your feet. Your entire body is wrapped in light and serenity, as though you are cocooned in warmth and safety. Take a long, slow inhale. And let it go, feeling your whole body sink even deeper. You are now fully cradled in peace. In your mind, imagine you are lying beneath a vast starry sky. The grass beneath you is soft and cool. The air smells of earth and faint wildflowers. You hear the whisper of a gentle night breeze. It brushes your skin softly, like the touch of a feather. Above, stars begin to twinkle. One by one they appear, filling the sky with light. Each star is calm and constant, a tiny lantern in the dark. The moon rises slowly, bathing the world in silver. Its glow feels like a soft hand resting over you, protecting you. Somewhere nearby, water trickles over smooth stones. A gentle stream sings a lullaby for the night. Every sound around you is part of this soothing symphony. The earth holding you, the sky watching over you, the night wrapping you in safety and calm. Thoughts may drift into your mind, but they are like soft clouds in this endless sky. They float by without effort, disappearing into the distance. You do not need to hold on to anything. You are free to let go, to surrender to stillness. Take one last deep, easy breath in. And release it slowly. Feel the complete weight of your body sinking into rest. Your mind is light, your body heavy, and your heart at peace. You are floating now in the space between wakefulness and sleep, wrapped in warmth, surrounded by comfort, ready to drift into a night of deep, healing rest. Good night. Rest deeply and enjoy tonight's bedtime story. There's a certain kind of light I wait for each evening, not the full golden blaze of late afternoon, not the sleepy gray that comes before the stars. I mean that moment in between, when the sky blushes lavender and the fields seem to hum in soft relief, like the world's letting out a long, happy sigh. That's when I know it's time. I rise slowly from my straw-filled corner, brushing a bit of hay from my ears, and stretch each of my legs one at a time. My joints click like old cupboard hinges, but oh, they still work just fine. I give my tail a purposeful swish, set a sunflower petal straight on my windowsill, and begin my short, familiar walk down the path that winds along the edge of the village. You see, I am Juniper, the village donkey. Well, retired now, if you must know. I used to help carry baskets of apples from orchard to bakery, pull a little cart full of lavender and soap, sometimes even give rides to little ones whose legs were too small for long treks. These days, though, I have one task, just one, and I take it more seriously than any apple lugging I ever did. I am the ring keeper. No, not of treasure or secret realms, of a bell, a bronze bell to be exact, which hangs from a crooked wooden arch nestled between two ivy-covered beams at the very edge of our village, right where the stone path curves into meadow, and the whispering grass begins. Every evening when that lavender light paints the hills, I walk to the gate and ring the bell. 3 times. Ding, ding, ding. That's the sound that tells everyone the day is done. Rest now, neighbors. Put your tools down. Tuck the littlest ones into bed. Let the kettle sing. Let the stories begin. It started many, many seasons ago, back when I was still carting things about, and my hooves were a bit less creaky. I remember the first time I rang it. The village clock had gone silent that week, the gears needing repairs, and no one seemed quite sure when to end their work. The blacksmith kept hammering long past supper. The weaver worked until the stars blinked in confusion, and even the baker started kneading again after the loaves were already baked. So I trotted up to that old gate one dusky evening, nudged the bell with my nose, and let it sing. Ding, ding, ding. It felt right. Sound carries differently in twilight, softer yet deeper, like it slips into your bones, into the quiet parts of your heart. The village grew still. A few windows opened. Someone hummed a lullaby. The baker wiped his hands on his apron and finally turned home. And so I returned the next evening, and the next, until it became a ritual. Now, I'd like to say that I do it purely for tradition or community spirit, and I do mostly. But I must admit, I also quite like the attention. Children wave from porches. Grown-ups call out, "Evening, Juniper!" or sometimes, "Right on time, as always." One little raccoon once left me a cherry tart wrapped in a leaf. I don't know who taught raccoons to bake, but I'd like to send them a thank you card. This evening, the lavender light is particularly lovely, melting gold across the fence posts. A soft breeze tickles my ears as I approach the gate. I pause beside a patch of clover and help myself to one bite. Only one, I promise. The clover won't mind. Then I stand beneath the arch, right where the bell hangs, its bronze shape dulled slightly with age, but warm to the touch. I press my nose against it gently. Ding. The birds flutter to stillness. Ding. A shutter creaks open up the lane. Ding. Somewhere a pot lid clicks into place. Soup, perhaps, or stew. I stand still a moment longer, letting the echoes settle into the hills like threads stitching up the day. And then I turn, not back toward the barn just yet, but toward the low stone bench beside the gate. I call it the evening seat. No one told me to name it that. It just feels like it fits. I sit slowly, tucking my legs beneath me, and listen. This, too, is part of the ritual. Sometimes I hear laughter, soft and muffled through windows. Sometimes it's quiet chewing, goats finishing their dinner or squirrels crunching nuts on roof tiles. Occasionally, someone wanders down to sit beside me. Little Millie, the marmalade kitten, loves to curl up beside my front hoof. Last week, the beekeeper brought me a honey biscuit, and we shared it while watching the fireflies blink in the hedgerow. Tonight, no one joins me, but I don't mind. There's a cricket tuning its legs somewhere nearby, and the breeze brings the scent of something spiced. Cinnamon, I think, maybe nutmeg. Someone's making tea cake. My tail swishes happily. You see, that's the real reason I ring the bell. Not just to mark time, not even for the cherry tarts, but because in that moment, when the sound hums through the air and the village softens into rest, it feels like we all belong to something gentle and good. The world is full of rush and bother, but here in our little patch between the hills and fields, we know when to pause. We know how to end the day properly, with a bell, with stillness, with warmth, and with one very old donkey who's still got a bit of rhythm left in her bones. Tomorrow I'll do it again, and the day after that. As long as the sky turns lavender and the bell hangs from the gate, I'll be here. Ding, ding, ding. Welcome home, rest well, and let the night begin. There's a kind of hush that follows the bell. Not silence exactly. No, the village doesn't fall still like a pond without wind. It settles like a blanket pulled up to the chin. A softening, a pause. Tonight, as I sit on the hill above the ivy-covered gate, watching the golden light melt into dusk, I can feel it. The sound has already traveled. 3 gentle chimes nudged into the air by my nose. Ding, ding, ding. From my perch on the grassy slope, I watch the village exhale. There's the baker, dusting flour from her apron as she sets the last loaf inside her basket. She doesn't rush. She wraps it in a clean cloth, ties the ends with a bit of lavender string, and lets her hands rest for just a moment on the worn wooden counter. I know that feeling. That moment when you say to yourself, "That's enough for today. Let it wait." Farther down the lane, I see the tailor's lantern blink on, casting a warm circle of gold across her workbench. She's folding her fabric now, layer by layer, smoothing the edges with the palms of her hands, every motion slower than before, as if the bell reminded her she didn't have to rush. That neatness was more important than speed. And just beyond the oak grove near the schoolhouse, the fox kits, 4 of them tonight, have paused in their tumbling. One is mid-pounce, frozen with a leaf between his paws. Another lies flat in the grass, ears perked, gaze tilted upward toward the hills. I know what they're listening for. It's not just the sound of the bell. It's the space the bell leaves behind. A little hush, a breath, a shared knowing. We've done enough for today. Let's just be now. I shift my weight slowly and stretch out my front legs, giving a soft snort as I adjust my spot in the grass. The breeze carries the scent of apples. Someone's baking again. And I let my ears tilt forward, catching the far-off notes of someone humming a lullaby. Oh, how I love this time of day. For many seasons now, I've been the one to ring the bell, but I didn't always understand what it meant. I used to think it was just a signal, like a clock's hands pointing to evening. Work is done, I thought. Time to rest. But lately, I've come to feel that it's something more. It slows the world. Not forever, just for a little while. Just long enough to notice the light flickering in windows, the scent of tea rising from the kettle, the quiet shape of your own breath moving in and out. I lower my head and graze at a patch of clover near my hooves, chewing slowly, thoughtfully. I've heard others say that donkeys are stubborn, that we move at our own pace. I suppose that's true. But I like to think we're just good at pausing, at finding the rhythm beneath all the rushing. And if I can help the village find that rhythm too, well, that's more than enough for me. By the time the stars start blinking above the hills, I've begun my slow walk back toward my little barn. The path glows faintly with firefly light, and I hum a tune to myself as I go, one I heard a turtle whistling last spring. It's off-key, but I don't think anyone minds. I pass the lantern beside the garden gate, pause to adjust a crooked stone with my hoof, and then nudge the barn door open with my shoulder. It creaks a bit, but it always has. Inside, the straw smells sweet and familiar. My blanket, an old quilt patched with bits of gingham and wool, is draped over the bench where I sometimes rest my journal. Tonight it's already turned down, folded just so. Someone's been here. There's a small leaf on the bench, shaped like a heart, with a tiny bit of yarn tied around the stem. A thank you, I imagine, or a hello. Maybe one of the fox kits, or that little robin who likes to sit on my windowsill and chirp advice. I smile and place the leaf inside the cover of my notebook. Ah yes, my notebook. It's worn smooth at the edges, the leather cover soft from years of touch. I've had it since before the bell ever rang for the first time, back when I still carried flower baskets and ferry rides. I didn't write in it much then, mostly kept lists. But now it holds thoughts, feelings, echoes of evenings like this. I pull it closer with my nose, flip it open with a practiced nudge, and dip my feather into the ink pot beside it. Don't ask me why I use a feather. I could just as easily scratch letters with a stick, but the feather feels special, like a whisper across the page. Tonight I write 3 chimes, the village sighed in unison. I pause, then add. The tailor folded peace into her cloth. The baker tucked warmth into her basket. The fox kits blinked at the stars. The ink glistens a moment before drying. I sit still, listening. Outside, the wind stirs the ivy on the gate. The bell doesn't ring again, not without my touch. But sometimes I think I hear its echo anyway, soft, like a memory, or a promise. I don't know how long I'll be the one to ring it. Maybe someday I'll pass the task along to someone else. Maybe one of the fox kits will grow up and take a liking to routines. Or the robin might compose a tune with the same 3 notes. Or maybe, long after I've stopped walking the path, the sound of the bell will still drift through the fields, inside hearts, in the way hands pause, in the hush that tucks the village in. But for now, it's me, old Juniper, donkey of the dusk, ring-keeper of the gate, and tomorrow when the light turns lavender once again, I'll walk the path. I'll press my nose to the bronze, and I'll let the sound slow the world just for a while. Ding, ding, ding. It was the rain's fault, really. Or maybe the cozy way the wind tapped against the barn's wooden eaves like it was humming a lullaby just for me. I hadn't meant to fall asleep. The day had been heavy with the smell of damp earth and the kind of hush that comes before a storm. I remember finishing my midday wander, swishing my tail lazily as the wind curled through the tall grass. The clouds were already rolling in then, dark and low, like woolen blankets pulled over the sky. And my joints, oh, they always get a bit achy in weather like that, had been whispering, "Juniper, perhaps tonight's bell can wait just a little longer." So I settled under the overhang just beside the barn, where the straw was dry and the scent of last summer's hay lingered sweet and warm. I curled my legs beneath me, let the drizzle dance on the roof above, and rested my chin on a folded wool blanket someone had left for me. I meant to close my eyes for a moment, just a moment. But the moment grew long and quiet, and the lavender light faded, and the bronze bell did not ring. The next morning I woke to the scent of cinnamon and apples. For a few seconds, I wasn't sure why I felt so rested and so unsettled. Something was missing, like a button come loose from a favorite coat. I blinked against the golden morning light and slowly rose, my joints popping gently, ears flicking against the cool breeze. Then I remembered. The bell. I gasped. Well, the donkey version of a gasp, which mostly sounds like a startled snort, and scrambled to my hooves. Oh, stars, I muttered, brushing straw from my shoulder. I missed it. Outside, the village was already beginning to stir. Smoke curled from the bakery chimney. The cobbler's window clinked open with its usual morning creak. But something in the air still felt slightly out of step. Before I could make it halfway to the gate, I heard the creak of the garden gate swing open. Juniper? It was Maribel, the baker, holding a cloth-covered basket in her arms. Her apron was dusted with flour, and her cheeks were pink from the oven's warmth. "Oh, you're up. Thank goodness," she said, crossing the dew-soaked path toward me. "I brought you something warm. Thought you might be feeling a bit off." I blinked at her, speechless. She set the basket down and pulled back the cloth. Inside were 2 steaming apple turnovers, a slice of cinnamon oat loaf, and a tiny jar of plum preserves tied with a sprig of thyme. I'm so sorry, Maribel," I said softly. "I fell asleep before I could ring the bell last night. I didn't mean to." She smiled gently and touched my cheek with her floury hand. "Oh, sweet Juniper, we knew something must have kept you. The storm was so cozy I nearly slept through supper myself." Just then the tailor arrived, holding a folded quilt over her arm. "I stitched you a storm blanket," she said without preamble. "The rain was tapping so soft last night I thought of you under the eaves. Figured you needed one." Before I could thank her, 3 fox kits padded up the path, tails fluffed from morning dew, carrying a crooked little bouquet of dandelions and weeds. "We stayed out too late," said the eldest, ears drooping. "Mama said we should have known better, but we kept waiting for the bell. We thought maybe you forgot about us." My heart squeezed. "I didn't forget you," I said, nuzzling the top of her head. "I just got a bit too comfortable, I suppose." More neighbors followed. The beekeeper brought a pot of honey stirred with clove and chamomile. The tailor's apprentice offered a jar of pickled carrots. Even the school children came by, each carrying drawings of bells, some shaped like stars, others like flowers, and one shaped very creatively like my ears. I sat in the grass surrounded by gifts and kind voices, feeling like a stone dropped into still water, ripples moving out in every direction. I hadn't realized how much the bell mattered. I mean, I'd always hoped it helped folks slow down, rest a bit, maybe feel a little more whole at day's end. But this was something deeper. Maribel sat down beside me, passing a turnover into my hooves. "It's not just the bell, you know," she said quietly. "It's you. It's knowing that someone is out there watching the sky turn gold, reminding us that we're allowed to pause, that we don't have to do everything, that it's okay to just be. The tailor nodded. When I heard the bell wasn't rung, I didn't panic. I just missed it, like a favorite song that didn't play. "And bedtime," said one of the fox kits. It felt like bedtime forgot us. We all chuckled softly at that. The rest of the day passed with gentle warmth. I didn't move much from my patch under the tree, not because I was tired, but because I felt held, visited, understood. Everyone stayed for a while. No one was in a hurry. And as the sun began its slow descent once more, I stood tall, well, as tall as my old bones allow, and made my way to the arch at the village's edge. The ivy was heavy with dew. The bronze bell, untouched from the night before, shimmered faintly in the fading light. I took a deep breath and pressed my nose to it. Ding, ding, ding. The sound drifted farther than usual, I think. Or maybe it just felt that way, weighted with meaning, lifted by care. From the lane behind me, voices stilled, hands paused, heads tilted, and I could feel it, the unfolding, the sigh, the yes, there it is again. This time I stayed a while longer beneath the arch, watching windows flicker to life, watching fox kits curl onto porches, watching the tailor's cat wash its face with long, deliberate strokes as if to say, "Now the day is truly done." Back in the barn that night, I opened my weathered notebook and dipped my feather in ink. "A day without the bell," I wrote, "reminded us why we need it." I smiled, then added, "It's not just a sound, it's a promise, a pause, a quiet way of saying, you are not alone at the end of your day." And beneath that, in smaller letters, "Tomorrow I will ring it with extra care." Then I curled beneath my new storm blanket, belly full of apple turnover, heart full of neighbors and notes and drawings shaped like my ears. The village slept, and this time it felt finished. I don't think I ever quite understood what the bell meant, really meant, until the day it didn't ring. But after that quiet, unsettled night, after the apple turnovers and flower-crowned fox kits and kind words from Mary Bell, something inside me shifted. Not in a big, dramatic way, more like a soft click, the way a drawer finds its groove or a door finally swings true on its hinges. The bell wasn't just a task. It was a gift I got to give, and I wanted to give it well. So I began to take extra care. Each morning, once the dew had dried and the sun had crested the hill, I'd make my way slowly to the ivy-covered arch and greet the bell as if it were an old friend waking from sleep. I started brushing it gently with a cloth I'd soaked in honey water, just a little, and steeped with dried chamomile and mint. The scent was sweet and calming, and the bronze began to shine again in places I'd forgotten could gleam. The ivy, too, seemed to grow brighter, or maybe I was just noticing it more, how its tendrils curled like sleepy fingers and held tight to the wood as if it knew its place in the world. Some days I'd find a blossom in the path, a daisy or violet or one of those brave little clovers with a single pale flower. I began tucking them into the vines above the bell, until one evening, without planning to, I wove an entire flower crown across the arch. Marybelle happened to pass just as I finished. "Well now," she smiled, shading her eyes. "Does the bell have a birthday I don't know about?" I gave her a sheepish grin. "I suppose it does now." She nodded. "Looks like it's loved." It was loved, and not just by the villagers. Not long after the flower crown started appearing, I began to notice new visitors at the edge of the field. Quiet ones, careful ones. Forest folk who hadn't much reason to wander into the village before. One evening, just after the bell had sung its 3 notes, I saw a family of deer standing at the tree line, heads raised, ears still. They didn't move toward the village, just listened. And then, slowly, they turned and vanished into the trees like a breath let go. Another night, I caught sight of a badger tucked near the old stone bench, paws crossed neatly, eyes closed. He stayed there long after the final chime, as though he were meditating or napping. It was hard to tell with badgers. Then came the owls. Every 3rd or 4th night, a pair of them began perching above the arch. They'd hoot softly after the final bell, as if offering a benediction of their own. Their feathers ruffled gently in the breeze, and their eyes, oh, their eyes, seemed to hold every twilight that had ever been. It made me wonder, what if the sound of stillness isn't just for people? What if every creature, great or small, listens for something that tells them, it's safe to rest now? And what if that something could be this bell? That thought nestled into me like a seed, and from it grew something new. I started writing notes, not long letters or poems or anything fancy, just little slips of paper, carefully torn and folded, each with a small message in my careful, curving script. You did enough today? Stillness is not the same as stopping. Even the moon takes her time. You are held. The stars are proud of you. I kept a little tin of them by my haystack, and each afternoon I'd choose a few to carry in a satchel looped around my neck. Once I reached the gate, I placed them gently into a woven basket I tied beneath the bell with twine and a bit of hope. At first, I wasn't sure anyone noticed, but one morning the basket was empty, and in its place was a small, perfectly round stone painted with a sun and 2 donkeys napping beneath it. No signature, just left with care. After that, I began finding other signs. A sprig of pine, a feather tucked into the edge of the basket, a walnut cracked clean in half with a heart carved inside, a string of clover knots. Even the bell itself seemed to hum more sweetly in the evenings, as though it too had found a fuller voice. And oh, how the village responded. I started seeing people pause by the basket, pulling a note with reverence, tucking it into aprons or coat pockets or the brims of wide straw hats. Some read them aloud to children. Some just held them for a while, letting the words soak into the soft hush of twilight. One little girl named Lainey left a note of her own once. It was scribbled in purple crayon and said simply, "Thank you, Bell Donkey. I feel cozy now." I cried a little when I read that. Don't tell the fox kits. I've got a reputation to maintain. But the truth is, I felt cozy too. The bell wasn't just something I rang anymore. It was a conversation, a rhythm between the hill and the hearth, between the edge of the woods and the hearts of those within. Evenings became sacred, slower, fuller. One night, as the stars blinked above and the last of the fireflies flickered near the grass, I sat beneath the arch and listened, not to the bell, but to the silence that came after. It wasn't empty. It was rich and warm, like a blanket layered with kindness, memory, and a shared exhale. From somewhere deep in the trees, a fox barked softly. From the bakery, a song drifted through the window, off-key but tender. From a nearby log, a field mouse pulled a note from the basket and squeaked with quiet joy. And in my heart, I wrote a message just for myself. You're not just ringing the bell, Juniper. You're keeping the village's heartbeat steady, one chime at a time. That night I wrote in my weathered notebook, they are listening, not just with their ears, but with their lives. And beneath it, a final line. So I will keep ringing, and I will keep writing. Because sometimes the quietest notes reach the farthest hearts. I closed the notebook, laid down my head, and let the hush carry me into dreams. I knew something was different the moment I turned the corner at the top of the hill. The evening light was soft, lavender laced with gold, the kind of sky that looked like it had been painted with gentle hands. My hooves brushed against the dry path, each step worn smooth by so many walks to the same place. The ivy-covered arch, the wooden gate, the bell that waited just beyond the curve of the road. But this time the hush was different, not emptier, fuller, the kind of quiet that hums with anticipation, that carries held breath and smiling hearts and something else I couldn't name just yet. And when I reached the gate, I saw them, all of them. The whole village was there, standing in a soft, expectant circle, Maribel in her flower-dusted apron, the tailor with her arms crossed gently over her latest quilt, the fox kits lined up in a row, tails swishing like metronomes. Even the owls had arrived early, blinking from their perch above the arch. I spotted the badger tucked behind the stone bench, the deer just at the edge of the tall grass, the robin on the fence post with a petal in her beak. The lanterns were already lit. They cast a warm glow over the ivy, the gate, the bell. And in the center of the gathering, just below the swaying crown of flowers I'd woven that morning, stood a small rabbit, a young one, perhaps the youngest of them all. His ears were a bit too big for his face, and he stood on tiptoe to reach the bell. My breath caught. No one spoke, no one needed to. With a gentle nudge of his paw, the rabbit tapped the bell. Ding! The sound drifted out, sweet and low. Ding! The wind caught it, carried it through the grass, through the hush, through every waiting ear. Ding! And then the whole village breathed together. It wasn't just an inhale and exhale, it was something deeper. A rhythm shared, like a page turned in unison or a song hummed on the same note. I felt it move through me, low and warm, like sunlight settling in my chest. The rabbit stepped back, looking toward me. His nose twitched. He didn't speak, but his eyes said something clear. Did I do it right? I nodded slowly, heart thudding. You did it perfectly. And in that moment, I understood. The bell was no longer just mine. It had become something more. A memory passed between hands, a kindness shared in sound, a pause woven into the fabric of our days, a soft thread that tied us together, not with rope or ribbon, but with care. It belonged to everyone now, to the child needing a signal that it's time to sleep, to the mother who needed permission to stop working, to the tailor who folded fabric in time with its ring, to the fox kits who watched the stars while listening for its song, to the badger who meditated by the bench, to the deer who paused at the edge of their forest paths, to the owl who answered with a hoot, and yes, even to me. I'd rung that bell hundreds of times, watched the way it softened the evening, soothed the edges of the day, but I had never imagined what it might become once we all held it together. Once we let it echo not just in the air, but in our hearts. One of the villagers, a quiet squirrel with ink on her paws, stepped forward and placed a folded slip of paper in the basket beneath the bell. Others followed, tucking in notes and tokens, a feather, a carved acorn, a button shaped like the moon. I didn't need to read them to know what they said. I could feel it. Thank you. I needed this. I paused. I remembered. I rested. It was all I ever wanted the bell to do. And now, it was doing it through all of us. I stepped closer to the arch. The bell swayed gently in the breeze, still singing its final note into the hush. The little rabbit looked up at me again. You know, I said quietly, there's enough room here for more than one ring keeper. He smiled. Behind me, someone struck a match and lit another lantern, and another. Soon, the whole hilltop glowed. The villagers didn't linger long. They never did. The bell wasn't about gathering and staying. It was about signaling the turn from doing to being. One by one, they began to drift back toward their homes, their burrows, their nests and branches and beds. I watched them go, watched the glow travel down the paths, through the lanes, watched windows blink awake with soft lamplight, watched fireflies rise from the grass like little floating thank yous. And then I turned. The gate behind me, the village glowing ahead, and beneath my hooves a patch of tall grass that waved like water in the gentle wind. I laid down slowly, careful not to crush the wildflowers beneath me. My old bones sighed, but it was a good kind of ache. The ache that comes from having done something meaningful, from having shared something freely. The breeze brushed my ears. The bell still swayed, catching one final gust of wind. Ding. A soft note, like a lullaby whispered to no one and everyone. I closed my eyes. I thought about the first time I rang it, how nervous I was, how small it seemed back then. Just a bell, just a sound, just a donkey doing something to help. And now? Now it was a story, one written in breaths and pauses and the echo of kindness, one that would outlast me, I think, because when something is done with love and shared, it plants roots. It keeps ringing, even after the bell is still. I nestled deeper into the grass. The stars were beginning to peek out, blinking like sleepy eyes. A soft hoot echoed from the arch, and all around me the world seemed to say, "Rest, Juniper, you rang it well." And so I did. That brings tonight's bedtime session to a gentle close. Thank you so much for spending this quiet moment with me. If you'd like, feel free to stay and drift deeper into sleep with the soft sounds of rain in the background.